Attention, passionate Dallas Cowboys fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East, and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Dallas Cowboys' path to another championship run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before we dive in, if you're a true Dallas Cowboys fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and fellow Dallas Cowboys fans. Let's get to the news. Now, if you were sitting there thinking about what just happened to the Dallas Cowboys in that game against the Denver Broncos, it's hard not to feel a mix of frustration, concern, and maybe even a little bit of disbelief. Because this wasn't just a loss. It was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that the Cowboys still have some serious issues to address if they want to contend for a deep playoff run or, dare I say, a Super Bowl. And folks, let us be honest, this game was about so much more than just the scoreboard of 44-24. It was a reflection of where this team stands, what's holding them back, and what might be coming in the final stretch of the season. Starting from the beginning, the Cowboys entered this game with high expectations, especially after some promising moments earlier in the season. But what we saw on Sunday afternoon at Empower Field at Mile High was a stark contrast. The defense, which has been a topic of concern for most of the year, looked overwhelmed from start to finish. And it's not just about the points allowed, it's about the way they let the Broncos run all over them. How the pass defense crumbled with key safeties out, and how the entire unit seemed to be out of sync. Let's talk about that run defense first, because it was honestly one of the most glaring issues of the day. You would think that without their top safeties, the Cowboys might focus more on stopping the run, right? Well, instead, they got lit up. On the very first drive, R.J. Harvey found a massive hole on the left side, thanks to a block from Quinn Meinerz, and sprinted 40 yards into the end zone. And that was just the beginning. The Broncos finished with 179 rushing yards on the day, and that's a huge number in today's NFL, where teams are usually trying to throw the ball more than run it. But Denver didn't have to do much fancy passing to dominate. They just kept pounding the ball, exploiting gaps, and taking advantage of what was essentially a porous Dallas front. And if you look at the breakdown, it was a bit shocking how many long runs the Broncos were able to get. 5 runs of more than 10 yards, to be exact. That's a testament to how badly the Cowboys' front seven struggled to contain the run, whether it was Sam Williams failing to keep his edge, linebackers and safeties not filling their lanes, or the interior linemen like Osa Odighizuwa and Kenny Clark not clogging the gaps. From top to bottom, this defense was simply not good enough again. And it's not just about that one game. It's about a pattern that's been developing all season long. Now, I mentioned earlier the safeties, and that's a crucial point. Because when you lose your top 3 safeties due to injury, Malik Hooker, toe, Donovan Wilson, elbow, shoulder, and Juanyeh Thomas, migraines, the depth and experience are severely affected, and that showed on Sunday. The backup group, featuring Marquise Bell and undrafted rookie Elijah Clark, struggled immensely. Denver's quarterbacks and receivers took advantage of this inexperience, connecting on 5 pass plays of 15 yards or more. That's a huge problem because it exposes the vulnerability in the secondary, especially when you're missing your best players and trying to plug in inexperienced backups. And this isn't just about this game, it's about a recurring theme. The Cowboys' safety group hasn't been consistent all year, whether they were fully healthy or not. The absence of the top players has clearly impacted their ability to limit big plays, and it makes you wonder if this is an area the team will look to address before the trade deadline. But here's where things get really interesting, because on the offensive side, the story was different but just as telling. The Cowboys have been trying to find that explosive edge on offense, and they did have some moments. But one of the big talking points before the game was whether Brandon Aubrey, their kicker, could potentially set an NFL record with a massive field goal in Denver's thin air. It was a week-long discussion, with head coach Brian Schottenheimer even being asked repeatedly about it in press conferences leading up to the game. And in that game, that storyline played out in a way that was almost symbolic of the team's overall approach. Early in the second quarter, Dallas had a 4th down on their own 48-yard line. Now, that's a shot at a 69-yard field goal for Aubrey, an almost impossible attempt. But it would have been historic. Instead of going for it, they decided to punt. Later, just before halftime, with the offense moving around midfield, Prescott threw an interception to Jody Barron. That kind of sums up the inconsistency that has haunted this team this season. They were capable of moments of brilliance, but then they shoot themselves in the foot with mistakes, bad decisions, or missed opportunities. Aubrey did manage to make a 24-yard field goal later in the game, But that was hardly enough to change the course of a game that was already slipping away. And that decision not to go for the record-setting attempt, which, honestly, would have been incredible to watch, underscores how conservative the team sometimes gets, especially when trying to navigate the ups and downs of a season that has been filled with both promise and disappointment. Now, let us talk about the bigger picture here. Because after this game, the Dallas Cowboys are sitting at 3-4-1, and that S below 500. Coming into the bye week with only one game remaining before the break isn't ideal, especially with the trade deadline approaching on November 4th. Jerry Jones, the team's owner and general manager, was quite clear in his comments before the game. He told Christie Scales of 105.3 The Fan that the team is actively exploring options to improve the roster, particularly on defense. And that makes sense because, let us face it, this defense needs a complete overhaul. The question is, though, whether it's worth it to trade valuable draft capital for immediate help. The Cowboys have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years, and that's a lot of assets to consider parting with. But with the defense struggling so badly, especially in coverage and against the run, it's tempting to think that making a splash before the deadline could be the move. Still, it's not just about patching holes. It's about fixing the core issues that have been plaguing this team for years. Because honestly, this isn't about just 1 or 2 players. It's a systemic problem that requires more than just a quick fix. And that brings us back to the coaching staff and the scheme. Defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus has been trying to make adjustments, but clearly something isn't clicking. Last week, the Cowboys sent more pressure than in any other game this season, but against Denver, they dialed it back. The result? The Broncos' offensive line had a field day, giving their quarterback clean pockets for most of the game. Bo Nix, the Broncos' second-year quarterback, wasn't even touched until late in the game. That's a telling sign that the pass rush isn't generating enough pressure, and when the secondary is compromised, it's a recipe for disaster. And here we are, having to talk about a defense that's multi-layered in its issues. The run defense, the pass coverage, the inability to generate pressure, it's all interconnected. Major changes will be needed if the Cowboys want to get back on track. It's going to take some serious rebuilding, some smart moves in the offseason, and perhaps even some bold decisions before the trade deadline. Because the truth is, the window doesn't stay open forever, and with the NFC East being as competitive as it always is, every game counts more than ever. On the offensive side, Prescott has been up and down, but he is still the leader of this team. And the supporting cast has shown flashes of brilliance, especially when the line holds up and the play calling is on point. But inconsistency has been a theme, and with the defense playing the way it is now, the Cowboys are walking a tightrope. They need to find a way to balance that out, to be more disciplined, more aggressive when necessary, and to capitalize on every opportunity. Now, looking ahead, the Cowboys have to evaluate what they really need to do in these final games before the playoffs. Do they hold onto their draft picks and try to develop the young talent? Or do they pull the trigger on trades that could bring in veteran help and change the dynamic? It's a tough call, especially given how unpredictable the NFL can be. But one thing is for sure, the Cowboys are at a crossroads, and how they respond in these coming weeks could define their entire season. And let us not forget the history here. The Dallas Cowboys, one of the most storied franchises in NFL history, have always been about resilience and making the tough calls when it matters most. Whether it's a bold trade, a strategic adjustment, or a change in mindset, this team has the talent and the potential to bounce back. But they need to act quickly. The NFC East is wide open, and teams that capitalize on their opportunities now will have the best chance to make a deep playoff push. So as fans, we have every reason to stay optimistic yet realistic. The season isn't over, but it's clear that some things need to change. The defense, in particular, has to get better, and that might mean new personnel, new schemes, or both. Offensively, Prescott and the rest of the unit must find more consistency, especially in crucial moments. The coaching staff needs to tighten up and find solutions to the problems that have been holding this team back. And the front office is clearly thinking about the bigger picture about how to make this team better now and in the future. Now, I want to emphasize that the Cowboys still have time. They're not out of it yet, but the window is closing quickly if they don't make some decisive moves. The upcoming weeks are going to be critical for this franchise. Whether they decide to roll the dice with trades, develop their young players, or adjust their scheme, the core of what makes the Cowboys great is still in place. It's about resilience, strategic thinking, and the will to win. And as we wrap up, I want to remind all of you, the real fans who live and breathe every play, every game, every moment of this team's journey, your voice matters. Your opinions matter. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe in this team's potential to bounce back? Are you confident that the front office will make the right moves? Or do you think this season might be slipping away? Let us know. We love hearing from you, and your insights help build this community of passionate Cowboys fans. And don't forget I'll be back soon with more updates, analysis, and insider info on the Dallas Cowboys. The season is far from over, and there's still a lot to talk about. So stay tuned, stay passionate, and keep that Cowboys spirit alive. Whether it's a big trade, a key player return, or a breakthrough on defense, we'll be here to keep you informed and engaged every step of the way. Thanks for watching, and remember, this is your channel, your voice, your Dallas Cowboys family. Let us keep fighting, because the road to another Super Bowl is still very much alive.